The sun beat down on the deck of the USS Liberty, a historic Navy ship docked for a memorial event at the harbor. Veterans from across the country gathered to honor the fallen, relive memories, and reconnect with the brothers and sisters who once wore the same uniform. Among them was Harold "Hal" Thompson, an 82-year-old Navy veteran who had served aboard that very ship during the Vietnam War. His steps were slow, supported by a cane, but his presence was commanding. He wore his dress blue's proudly polished shoes, ribbons neatly arranged on his chest, and his cap pulled tight against his silver hair. Hal stood in front of the ship, taking in the vessel he once called home. The flashbacks were instant nights. At sea, the hum of engines below deck, the chaos of combat, the faces of those who never made it home. For Hal, this wasn't just a ship. It was sacred ground. But not everyone recognized the importance of that moment. A younger naval officer, Lieutenant Brian Kendricks, stood near the gangway overseeing the event's security. He was sharp, tall, and all business. When he spotted Hal approaching the ramp to board the ship, something in his expression shifted judgment, maybe even disdain. He stepped forward and blocked Hal's path. "Sir, this area is restricted. I'll need you to step back," he said curtly. Hal, surprised, held up his invitation. "I was invited. Name's Harold Thompson. I served on this ship 1966 to 69. Kendricks barely glanced at the paper. "I don't care who you are. You're not authorized to board. Please step away from the ramp." A couple of veterans nearby heard the exchange and started approaching. "He's one of the original crew, Lieutenant," one of them said. "The ceremony's for people like him." But Kendricks wasn't having it. "I don't care if he built the ship with his bare hands," he snapped. "This is a security matter. Step away, or I'll have you removed." Gasps spread through the crowd. A Navy officer threatening to throw out a decorated veteranette, a veteran memorial. Hal stood tall, despite the sting of disrespect. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't argue. He simply said, "I bled on this ship. I lost friends on this deck. I'll walk it again, whether you like it or not." Kendricks stepped forward, putting a hand on Hal's shoulder. "That's it. You're done here." Suddenly, another voice broke through the tension, calm, commanding, unmistakable. "Lieutenant Kendricks, stand down." The crowd parted as Admiral Lisa Moreno, the highest-ranking officer in attendance, walked over. Decorated, respected, and with decades of service, her presence shifted the energy immediately. Her eyes were sharp as they locked. "On to Kendricks. Did I just witness you trying to eject a Navy veteran, a Navy vessel, during a ceremony honoring Navy history?" she asked coolly. "He didn't have clearance to board," Kendricks replied, now visibly sweating. Admiral Moreno took the invitation from Hal's hand, studied it, and then looked back at Kendricks. "This man doesn't need clearance," she said. "He's a part of this ship's legacy. You, Lieutenant, owe him an apology." "Now," Kendricks hesitated, his jaw clenched. "I said now." With a stiff nod, Kendricks turned to Hal. "Apologies, sir," he muttered. Hal didn't respond. Didn't need to. The crowd had already begun to rally around him, clapping, some even saluting. The other veterans welcomed him aboard the ship with tears in their eyes. It was more than just vindication, it was a homecoming. But the story didn't end there. Within 24 hours, Admiral Moreno launched an internal review of Kendricks' conduct. Turned out this wasn't the first time he'd disrespected veterans or guests at naval events. Multiple complaints had been buried or ignored. This time, under public pressure and with video footage from a bystander going viral online, the Navy had no choice. Kendricks was suspended pending investigation. A month later, he was officially stripped of his commission, his badge, his rank. And his career gone? The very act of disrespecting someone who had bled for the nation had cost him everything. The incident made national headlines. News outlets across the country reported on the veteran denied his ship. The video showed Hal being stopped and then vindicated, standing proud while a younger man learned the weight of honor and humility. Hal, however, remained humble. When interviewed, he simply said, "I didn't come here to cause trouble. I came here to remember my brothers. I came here to feel the deck under my boots one more time." I'm just sorry someone had to lose their way to learn a lesson in respect." But that lesson would not be forgotten. The Navy issued a formal apology to Hal, and at the following year's memorial, he was invited as the guest of honor. This time, when he stepped onto the ship, the crew stood in formation, saluting. A framed photo of Hal was added to the ship's historical display, along with the words, "Harold Thompson, sailor, survivor, hero." It was a quiet reminder to everyone in uniform, past, present, and future, that respect isn't about rank. It's about sacrifice. And those who gave everything for their country should never be told they don't belong. Not now, not ever.